you doing, everybody? It's Blake. Good evening. Nice to see you again. I'm with my other co-host. Say hello, co-host.
Hi.
Hello.
Today we have some interesting topics for you. One of my topics is about the on-campus groups, their presence on campus. Are they there? Are they not there? What do y'all think?
They're absolutely there. I just think that you have to be a little resourceful in the ways that you find events on campus. So, for example, joining people's listservs. If you see a group, ask them to join that listserv so that you can be getting their emails. And another thing that you could do if you're not a fan of getting all these emails is look around and go read. There are posters in almost every building that you see, especially OSHAG. If you go on OSHAG, you can almost see about every event that is happening on campus, and you will not miss a beat. Like, every time I walk, I'm like taking a picture of this because I didn't know that was happening. So absolutely, I think that our black people are on campus. In small numbers that we do have, we are here, and we're for sure impactful.
Yeah, I think as someone who's a grad student, so I did the whole undergrad experience, and this is what it's about. Like, I know grades matter and you need to study or whatever, but like joining groups, building your network, finding your community, like that should be your goal here during your time, because once you graduate, like, nobody ever asked me for my GPA. Like,
no one cares you're here.
Right, exactly. Like, people are like, oh, you have a degree? That's it. Truly. And it's a scary thing to think about, and I don't mean, go fail your classes because I told you to, but like, you should prioritize joining groups and going to events and doing those kind of things. That's what's actually important.
I feel it. No, I feel it. So let's get off with some stories. I got a story for y'all. I'll tell y'all in a second, but Blake, what you got, man?
The biggest thing for me was, I was looking around campus, and I thought about the dream I had of, what college was going to be like. People on the lawn throwing frisbees. You got, the dog Charlie running around catching it. And I just feel like it hasn't been that. Like, my past 3 years, especially my first year. Like, I came out here, it was cold. It started like snowing in September? I ain't gonna lie, I was freezing.
21st night of September.
Yeah, it hurt me. Wait, August? Yeah, all right. But, either way it go, that was my experience. And I feel like, as time moved on, we've been getting better at, communicating, hosting events, having people show up. But I just feel like we have a long way to go before it's really, where it's supposed to be.
I feel it. So what do you think it's going to take for it to get there? For what you envision it to be?
I got an answer. I think it's going to take other members of the non-black community to be a part of our events as well. And no shade to anyone, but I've been to multiple different ethnic groups events on this campus, like the little Asian Korean event that they do every year. That event is packed. I have not seen a packed event at this school for black people since the fashion show of my Riley spring event. That was the packest black event that I've ever seen on this campus. Even ones that I've hosted myself have not been that packed as that one. And I would love to see that. That event was black, it was white, it was everything you would have imagined about a diverse space at that fashion show. Although it was mostly black, we still had other members of the community participating.
Just a random question. Does anybody think that because we are so strong with fostering our culture, that people feel that if they intrude, they are either disrespectful, or do you think some people may be scared of us? I mean, I don't know. It's a random question, but. And
that's a great question, because I was just about to say, I'm down with the Latino community. I love them. Like, that's where it's at.
You want to talk happy about it, huh?
Like, I'm really happy. It took me a minute to get in there, but either way it go, if you want to talk about PAC, they're PAC. They support their community, similar to the Asian community. They support their community, and I feel like is it more of, does the black community need them to be, in our presence for us to enjoy our space?
Like to be an affirmation, like to be affirmed?
Right,
sense?
like, how we go to the SYRs and we all know they're garbage. Like,
I'm sorry, SYRs.
Set your roommate? No, is that not the SYRs?
I never had that.
No, the SYR is the student, I don't know what it stands for. Either way it goes, the dorm party.
Oh, clearly, I'm too grown for that.
Right? You should not be in the dorm party. They're gonna be like, who is this man? Nah. So there's dorm parties, and it's gonna be predominantly white. We go, it's gonna be garbage. The music they play is like, what's the song called? Like, Party in the U.S.
Oh,
you
who
know,
plays that?
Miley Cyrus.
that's what they be playing.
It's
You
a
know,
little
and I
bit
just,
Handle.
And they be trying to
Look,
keep
look,
it Notre Dame PG.
but look, let me explain. It be packed. People be musty. There's alcohol everywhere. People slipping.
Oh, yeah.
But yet we still go. And why is that? Because to some extent, I feel like we're trying to build some type of connection.
I see what you're saying.
Like we know this is where everybody is going to be at, regardless of if it's going to be fun or not. So I just wish, like Deontay was saying earlier, if they came to our community parties and, you know, let us, you know, figure out what we're going to do, plan it out, and they just come to enjoy themselves, I feel like it'll be amazing, because I know other black people will come because they know the majority is coming.
It's like a thing of, is it up to us in the black community to be more welcoming, or is it up to everyone else to, you know, go out of their way to
That's the
join our
point I was
things,
just
right?
about to make.
Like, who-
And I'm with Euda on that one. Use your privilege. They walk around here like they own the spot, and then when it's time for them to come into a space and be a productive, valuable member, they all shy. For what? And I literally had this happen to me almost 3 weeks ago for an Africana Studies event. I do my president thing, so I try to go and I meet everybody at my event, regardless of your freshman, sophomore, black, white, whatever. So there were 2 white people there, and I went up to them, and the first thing she said to me is like, "Oh no, I don't want you to think we're stealing food." I said, "Girl, I'm just happy you here. I don't think you're stealing food. I don't think any of those things about you." And I'm like, especially because you're an Africana Studies minor, you belong in a space like this. Like this is a part of the work that you're doing. So it was very like crazy to me that's what she said. She was like,
Yeah.
"I'm not here stealing food," like, you know.
What you think?
Was she in the
Shay?
refrigerator?
I don't know. It's tough though, right? Because it's like, I feel like there's a lot of people, a lot of black people, a lot of minority populations who are like, I want my own space. Like I don't
I get
want
it. I get it.
diversity is a
Black at ND.
right, exactly, right. Like it's not called inclusiveness at MD, right? Like it's just, and so I feel like some people are like, oh, like we want this to be our space for ourselves so we can feel, because everywhere else, like you guys, everywhere else is
Everywhere, for
predominantly
sure.
white.
I get it.
Like it really is overwhelming at the end of the day, right? And so some people want their own space where they're like, this is our thing and we don't want. And then other people are like, I want the multicultural college experience I was promised. I want the brochure, you know what I mean? Where they got kid in a wheelchair and a black kid and you know what I mean? Like I want that because that's what like all the movies and all the things say. And so it's like a weird, tough balance to create both things. Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with Blake, and I said, there will not be a space where black people can just exist and be free on this campus. Like
right
the
now.
white gaze is everywhere. There needs to be a space non-Notre Dame affiliated in some way, whether it's funded by Notre Dame, funded by somebody who has money within the black community, whether we put all our money together, there has to be a space, a house, a shed. I really don't care.
It could be a shed. Like
I want a house.
as long as it's
I want a
not,
house
like,
too, but I do acknowledge that like
it.
members of our community do not have money. We don't have money to just go and find a house in South Bend so that we can have a space where we can have parties and do all that. But I do acknowledge that that's the vision that I would like to see for black people here
Write it
on
down.
campus, because I know that the white gaze is everywhere. So where can their dorms? It's in their dorms. It's at the parties. It's everywhere. So
Yeah.
what do we do?
Write the vision and make it plain.
I'm trying before I leave.
I wouldn't say we don't have the money, because I feel like to some extent we do. Now, alumni, if you're hearing this, you know, please help a brother out. You know what I mean? Give us some money, you know, because we somewhat need it. Either way it go, I feel like if we were to come together, you know, and figure out, you know, where do we want to have our building at? Where's our, you know, our place of residence? If 7 people was to come together, you know, put a little money. If 20, 30, 40, we got, you know, that many people here to where we could all put $100 and get a house. Like, we can get a house. All of us, like, we can buy a house right now, like, and we don't understand that. I don't know what it is. We spend our money frivolously, and I look back on how much money I spent frivolously. I counted it up.
On Subway?
It's over 50K. And my point of saying that is that everybody on this campus has had the same amount of opportunity to some extent. And if we were to put that together, you know, not expecting somebody go 80, somebody go 20. You know, we all put in the same amount and we, you know, really try to help each other out. We can have that on campus. And then we move on to the next class. We grooming our peers to pick up where we left off. But as far as, you know, our class has been concerned, there hasn't been nobody being groomed for, you know, the next class, or, you know, who's gonna have the house, who's gonna, you know, plan things for the community, who's our leader. We don't have a set, you know, hierarchy right now, and I just feel like that's really messing us up.
So what we're going to look for you to do is step in and be the leader.
Yeah, I think
So-
those
so next
spaces
topic.
exist
Yeah.
in the. Sorry, we can move on next topic.
Oh, no, you're good.
But I think those spaces exist here. Like, I think there are spaces for the Black community. I think they're harder to find, and you have to seek them out. And sometimes you gotta just create it. You know what I mean? Like yourself, and just take that leadership. But I think those spaces do exist, and I don't think it's as hard as buying an entire house and getting a mortgage or whatever. Like, I think you can get a lot of Black people together, but it's just like so there are spaces on campus specifically for grad students. Like, well, there's like a place in the library, there's a place here in the Duncan Student Center, right? And so it's like institutionalized, right? That there are places for grad students that presumably undergrads can't get into, right? And I don't think there's that institutionalized like place for Black people within Notre Dame, where Notre Dame is like, this is where you are ordained to hang out, because that would be #problematic. But I think we can create those spaces and we can bring together, but it's like, we're not a monolith, right? Some Black people go here and they don't like, right, yeah, right? And so it's like, I don't feel like I need that space actually, or I feel weird having a space that's for me and not, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's a weird thing to try and create that community all around our shared Blackness, even though I was born in Haiti, or, you know what I mean? Like, even though we're so diverse, so we can then move on to the next
Yeah. So, what I will say is this: so this past week, and we won't be here long because we got a big interview coming up that I want you all to take a look at. So, y'all make me nervous. Everything okay? Okay. Okay. Oh no! Actually, before we move on, Blake, you got a video you want to show us?
Oh yeah, this is the video from Black Images. It's a talent show. This is Dance Africa, right? Yeah. I just had to make sure. But you know, they did their thing.
Feeling it.
Yeah, I wanted to show you
what it look like.
Oh yeah, I see you, family.
They were killing it. It was an amazing show.
Like, I was in my seat, like, yeah,
my
you know what I mean?
God.
It was an
a great time.
amazing show, and it deserved to be way more packed out than it was.
Oh, it's a step team. Oh, there's Michelle in there. Let me see Michelle.
Yeah, of course. Pascal in the front. Oh my God. Chelsea, Michelle.
I have so much rhythm, but I do not have the capability of that. Like,
You can't do that?
no.
Nah, they be like,
I'd be
they
like,
be rooming there,
Michelle,
like,
girl, show me. And she'd be like, do you do it? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm not, but okay.
It's confidence. That's all it is.
I guess so. I just
Listen,
gotta believe
The
I
same
can do
confidence
it.
you have with your gumbo, same confidence you have on stage.
You ain't gonna see me getting on no dance after. I'm sorry.
Hey, so I do want to just do just sort of backtrack really quick. So, can you just inform our listeners what is a white gaze that you were mentioning? Like, as far as like, I guess they have like their own spaces.
Yes, well, you can refer to the white gaze as this idea that you always have the white eyes on you and you're always thinking about that. You can like think about, you know, W. Du Bois' double consciousness and knowing that like Black people exist in two-ness in the way that they perceive themselves and the way that the world
I was just
perceives
looking
them.
at that actually. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I was just looking at that.
Oh, okay.
actually.
But
Yeah.
but yes, that part of the way the world perceives us is a part of that white gaze.
Okay. All right.
And you can learn more about that if you try Intro to Africana Studies. Thank you.
Plug.
A plug.
So this past week we had the Black Catholic Theological Symposium here on campus, and we had the big service or the mass on Saturday that I was over. Turned out awesome to see all of these Black people. Although like when I say all of these, I mean like 35 of them. Roughly in a pocket in the basilica, and you had people who were not Black, but they still enjoyed the service. Like it was different for some. We heard some conversations where the charismatic atmosphere was a little uncomfortable, so some left. But then there were some who like really enjoyed it, and even if they didn't really know what to do, they still found a way to find their way in. Like how can they participate? So afterwards, we had the listening session with Wilton Cardinal Gregory, and at our table we were not obligated, but we had like some questions that we needed to answer. And so essentially like some questions around the idea of like, what is life like on campus? What happens, for students who are not Black and Catholic? What's their relationship with Black Protestants? all of these kinds of questions. So there was a gentleman at my table, Father Matthew out of Chicago. And so he said, I really enjoyed the service. He said, but it's performative. He said, only because I know that if I come back to Notre Dame, it's not going to be like this. And I said, you are exactly right. Although we enjoyed the service from the beginning to the end, I said it's true, because right now what Notre Dame is doing is they want to make sure that, of course, with all of the things that have been going on, people being more inclusive and diverse, and having this, of course, it looks good to Notre Dame to have, the Black Catholic Theological Symposium come to your campus to show that you are, diverse. But at the end of the conversation, everybody had to go to the, pretty much to tell her, wrap up the idea of what we talked about at our table. And also in the service, there was a big issue because the mics were not catching us. We had a big mic issue. So all of these things. So I'm sitting down, and there's a lady next to me. Her name is Kim Harris. So Dr. Kim Harris, she said, go up and talk to him. Tell him what we talked about. I was like, okay, cool. And I was chilling. I wasn't going to really do anything anyways. So I got up to the mic, and I said, who all attended the Mass? And, everyone, they raised their hand. And I said, it's not normally like this whenever you come to campus. I said, that is not a normal service for us. And I have somebody, Gelasius, he was also there as well, too. So he can vouch for me. So after, I said that part, I said Notre Dame has a really good job of doing, things like this. I said, but we, as Black people, we are not the good china that you bring out when company comes. And Father Jenkins was right there. So he heard everything. And I also said, for a lot of times, I said, Father Pete, you can, vouch for this as well, too. Voices of Faith used to have something called Rejoice Mass. Right when I came to Notre Dame, they had stopped having it. But we were never included within the full spectrum of the Mass that's held in the Basilica. It was not for us. There was nothing that was there to support us, so we had to have our own space. Now, I had an issue with that because here we are bringing these people on campus. These people on campus to have this Black service when in fact we don't even include Voices of Faith in the regular lineup. So I said, in a sense, for so long we've been in the outhouse and you all have been in the in-house having your services. And as far as us peaking when it comes down to sound, I'm like, that should not be an excuse as to why we can't have the full experience of what it's like to be Black. Or to be Catholic or to be Baptist in this space. Just like the other choirs are supported with their sound, we need to be supported as well too. So needless to say, so if you ever see something like that says, we are not the good china you bring out whenever company comes, it's because of what happened there. Now, so that was that. Now, there's also something I saw recently, how there's an incentive for people if they get vaccinated. It's a partnership with Notre Dame, but if students get vaccinated, they get a free, they get to choose between what game they want to go to. They get free tickets. Y'all heard about this? Yeah, so it says Notre Dame continues to look for ways to encourage members of the community, including our local fans, to get vaccinated against COVID-19. And said University Vice President and James E. Rohr, Director of Athletics, Jack Swarbrick. We hope that the opportunity to secure complimentary tickets to a Notre Dame game will provide an additional reason for residents of our broader community to become vaccinated. Do you think that's a good incentive?
I think it is. I think I've mentioned this every single episode somehow, but I worked doing vaccination efforts in Maryland and Virginia this summer, right? And when we were in Maryland, we were at the Oriole Stadium, and that's exactly what they did, is that they were like, if you get vaccinated, you get 2 tickets or a voucher for 2 tickets to an Orioles game. And a lot of people came through those doors simply for those tickets and for no other reason. And
not for no Orioles game.
Right, I know, right? Baseball, right?
So much better teams.
But it doesn't matter why you come. At the end of the day, you're getting vaccinated, and that's one less person who can, spread COVID around. And so, even though I was like, oh, you should just do it out of the goodness of your heart, the way that capitalism works means you need to incentivize people to do stuff sometimes. And I think it's a good incentive.
I feel it. Go ahead.
These folks love Notre Dame, and if they don't love Notre Dame, you better believe they love a good tailgate. So with that being said, I do think that it is a great incentive. There's so many people I know who are native to South Bend who have experienced Notre Dame almost every Saturday of their lives, and not being able to come to the games due to vaccinations and all that takes out of the fun that they do have here. So I do think it's a great incentive. If I wasn't vaccinated already, I would be signing up.
True. We're going to keep this ball rolling. D, what stories you got for us?
So I want to talk about preactive and reactive healthcare, specifically because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I know people are like, oh, you gotta be 40 years old to get it as women and all that. Start as early as possible. If you think something is wrong, if you know your family has history, go and talk to your doctors. Now, on the note of being more Notre Dame specific, I know there are many people who are a part of Notre Dame's insurance, and they won't take advantage of that. Aetna is one of the most best insurance companies that there are in America, and there are a lot of medicines and procedures that you should and would be able to receive using Notre Dame's insurance. Like the first 2 years that I was here and I was on their insurance, I was handling all of my business at home, and I'm like, girl, you could have had a doctor here, you could have had a dentist here, and like as of lately, I've been experiencing a couple of health issues, and I'm like, I could have done so much more better. And I was talking to another member of Notre Dame community who's also on Aetna, and she's gotten so much done. And like, when's the last time anybody's gotten a physical up here? Exactly.
I just started thinking
Exactly. And I don't want and I don't want to make you all feel bad, but that's just a part of the reactive and proactive healthcare. Like, don't go to the doctor when something is wrong. Go to the doctor because you feel like you care about your health and you need to be checked upon. And so especially if you are on Notre Dame's insurance, please take advantage of that. Get you a doctor, an OBGYN here, whatever it is. Don't think you have to wait until you go home to solve all of your health issues in one. And that goes for therapy as well. So please make sure that y'all are out here actually taking care of yourselves, because your health, your physical and mental health matters, and I want you to be proactive instead of reactive.
You know what? Everything you said is honestly what I needed to hear, because for the past couple of days I'm like, Emorja, make your dentist appointment. And I was slacking, because I mean normally I would go like every 6 months, but I've just been slacking. And listen, I want my teeth falling out at 30.
I'm gonna call you tomorrow and like,
no.
make that appointment.
Yeah, Aetna just like an old lady. Y'all got Aetna.
I was just gonna say, like, that girl Aetna ain't no joke, cause like, look, I needed stitches, like got stitches with Aetna. Needed some headache medication, anything that I've needed since I've been here. Like, oh my gosh, Aetna paid for all that. I probably paid like $36, like max, like with medicine on campus, but they do a great job.
A good lady.
I think this is a big thing in the Black community, and specifically, I would say to my experience as a Haitian person, like, the idea at home was always just like, walk it off. Like, whatever you got, like, we, put some Roberson, get some Tylenol, whatever you need to do, but like, move forward. We do not have a primary care, like, we don't have insurance, we don't have all of these things, the time to, you know what I mean, go out and get preventative care. Like, I would only get physicals when it was required by school, and I don't think that's like my parents being bad people. I think it's a constraint on time and money and resources. And so I think now that we are all here at Notre Dame, and we all have, I think you have to have the insurance, or at least some sort of insurance. Like, take full advantage. Take advantage, because there can be other times in your life where you do not have insurance, and
like when you leave.
Yeah.
All jobs do not guarantee them benefits, so you might want to get all the
Stock
things
up
you
now.
can get done now, because I know I will. I'm going to get me a physical. I'm going to get my teeth checked out. I might get my braces back on. Who knows?
get stuff you don't even need.
Joking, but the next 6 months for me about to go.
Yeah, no, I'm
Like,
being very serious, especially if you are a senior here and you are on Notre Dame's insurance. Please go and take care of your health. Do all things necessary that you feel like you need to do before you step out into the real world.
Yeah, I feel like my topic is a little bit like the topic I had a couple episodes ago about, and I think it's more specific now to us, is are we obligated to give back to the Black community? Like, I really do, but I feel like specifically with the idea of, especially with us who will now be college graduates, you know, and the idea that now we are, you know, of a different class than maybe some of the communities that we are coming from, and do we have to give back? Like, when do you become a sellout? When do you know, oh, he forgot where he came from, like that? Like, is that a valid thing for people to think? And then also this thing, and I was looking into this topic, but it turns out African Americans are like the group that gives the most money to charity out of anyone else, like in the U.S., right?
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah,
I can
right.
believe it.
No,
That
but
was
it's true.
shocking to
I
me
have
to
a friend of
find
mine
out.
who actually likes to give to St. Jude. And
My grandma, faithfully. I was just gonna say that.
and, you know, it's funny, but it's so funny. Well, not funny, but it's interesting because, you know, he even like had 2 credit cards because he likes to give that much. But it's interesting because some people are like giving it that's just their way of like showing that they care. Or, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love to give, but I've never been like a consistent giver to like any charity on a regular basis.
And I think that's why it was so shocking to me when I saw that stat. Like, as a percentage of our income, African Americans give more money than any other race, right? And I think it's so shocking to me because we don't give in traditional ways, like because we're not usually like swiping the credit card or giving to like a Patreon or an official like NGO or charity. It's usually like we're passing around an envelope because somebody got sick, right? Like it's like community-based giving, and it's such a big part of like the Black experience in the Black church specifically is like giving back because of this idea of like, oh, if you don't give back, then you know, you sell out. You went to college and now you all, you know.
I mean, and the thing, and you want to make sure that whatever you're sowing into, that there is going to be some kind of reward, not reward for you, but to actually see that what you're investing is actually going to come to fruition. Because I've seen some people take money and just don't even, it's like if you gave to the church building fund 30 years ago and all they built was like just another pew, that's all.
That's
Like,
why I like to see where I'm giving my money. Like, that's what I was just about to say. Like, I'm the type, I have like 10 ones in my wallet. I might give you 3, you know, 30%. But
okay.
but no, that's a big thing for me because I don't like, you know, giving to things that I don't know what this money being spent for. I know I'm not getting money back from taxes and all this other stuff that I may or may not be paying for. But you know, I just feel like when I do give, I want that person, like I want to see their happiness when I walk away. You know what I mean? I want to see that they, you know, really got something to know who gave them to them. But either way it go, you know.
And I think, again, that's the way that Black people give, like, is informally, right? Is like, oh, all the graduating seniors at the church get a little, you know, scholarship because we all, you know what I mean? Like, right, and everybody just gives to the community, and that's our form of investment, and that's not formalized, and it's not counted almost, right? In the like formal, oh, I'm a philanthropist and my name is on this building, right? Like it's not like that.
One day my name will be on somebody's building.
I know that's
You'll see that.
right. First of all, your name already needs to be on a building, Mr. First.
I received that.
Mr.
Listen, it's
First
gonna
of
happen.
his kind.
It's going to happen. Make sure to catch us next week for part 2 of Black and Indie.